It's 20 till. Joining us again on the Sunrise Morning Show is Richard Ghazal. He's senior advisor to In Defense of Christians. Rich, good morning.
Good morning, Annie. How are you?
I am doing fine, thank you, and happy to have you back. We're going to be looking at a new administration in the White House and talking today about what you and In Defense of Christians hopes will be the Biden administration's priorities when it comes to international religious freedom. Let's start with Lebanon. How do you hope this will be handled?
Well, first, Annie, I'd like to congratulate President-elect Biden in advance on becoming America's 46th president. We're very optimistic that the Biden administration will continue and even build upon the progress of the Trump administration for Christians in the Middle East. As we've discussed previously on this show, Annie, Lebanon is indeed on the brink of failed state status. For about 6 months now, it hasn't had a government, and widespread poverty and starvation have paralyzed the country. Currently, about 50% of Lebanon's population, many of whom are Christians, are below the poverty line. One of the main reasons Lebanon finds itself in this situation is because of the stranglehold that Iran asserts over Lebanon through its proxy actor Hezbollah. So we strongly urge the Biden administration to continue to aid Lebanon, not through the government, but through civil society organizations and NGOs on the ground, until a responsible, stable, and legitimate government can be assembled. We'd also urge the continued and increased support for the Lebanese armed forces, which is the only legitimate security force in Lebanon and the only counterweight to Hezbollah, which is wreaking so much havoc in Lebanon. And, of course, reining in Hezbollah is really the only way to secure the future of Christians in Lebanon.
Speaking of reining in, I know that In Defense of Christians is particularly concerned about reining in the growing influence of Turkey.
That's correct. As you know, Annie, in just a one-year period, the world watched as Turkey did a number of things. They continued a century-old genocide against Armenians, Syriacs, and Assyrians in neighboring nations, while also continuing to oppress Christians within their own borders. They've also took drastic steps to erase the Christian heritage in Turkey. One prime example of that is converting the Hagia Sophia into a mosque just this past summer, all while continuing to export terrorism and contribute to political arson throughout the region while thumbing their nose at the United States and NATO. All that said, we will give credit to the Biden team thus far. We're pleased to report that President-elect Biden, as well as the incoming Secretary of State, Tony Blinken, have been quite critical of Turkey, as well as President Trump's handling of Turkey. Our recommendation to the Biden administration would be to take a firm stance on Turkey's oppression of Christians at home and abroad. In doing so, President-elect Biden must make good on his promise to recognize the Armenian Christian genocide and also put current perpetrators of genocide on notice that they will not receive a penny of U.S. assistance so long as they're continuing these behaviors. We'd also urge the Biden administration to recognize the autonomous administration in northeast Syria, because as you may know, Annie, Syriac and Assyrian Christians in northeast Syria are currently the main target of Turkish aggression, and the U.S. must demand that these attacks come to an end. And finally, regarding Turkey, we do applaud President Trump's use of sanctions against Turkey for its recent acquisition of Russian weapons, but it mustn't stop there. Sanctions must be expanded, and sanctions must be tough.
Yes, agreed. And, we will continue to pray for all of those who are suffering at the hands of this Turkish aggression. You mentioned recognizing the Armenian genocide and standing up to genocide happening currently. What needs to be done with Nigeria in that regard?
Absolutely. Nigeria is definitely a hot spot for Christian persecution, rising even to the level of genocide, as you say, and more attention should be given to Nigeria in the incoming Biden administration. First off, they can recognize the fact that it is indeed a genocide, and in doing so, assign a special U.S. envoy to investigate what's going on there, and also to be a presence on the ground in Nigeria. And finally, apply pressure on the Nigerian central government to take more serious action in protecting their Christian population.
And also, I know that Egypt is another major concern for you.
That's correct. Yeah, we've talked quite a bit about the misbehavior of our ally Turkey, but we also have another partner in the region, that is Egypt. Egypt is indeed one of the Middle East's largest recipients of U.S. dollars for defense and security. Unfortunately, their human rights record toward Christians doesn't match that level of U.S. commitment. So the Biden administration should certainly hold Egypt to a higher standard so long as they are a partner and a recipient of U.S. aid. In some ways, President Sisi, the Egyptian president, does represent an improvement compared to his predecessors, Morsi and Mubarak. But the Biden administration should make it crystal clear that if they want to continue to benefit from a U.S. partnership, they must respect the human rights of Coptic Christians.
Now, Richard, I know in defense of Christians, I mean, your priorities are not going to change no matter what administration is running the country at any given time in the nation. But I know that a lot of Catholics, a lot of listeners are rather concerned about a number of priorities that the Biden administration has as it pertains to religious freedom here at home in the United States, which is a very different kind of religious freedom that we're looking at than many of the countries that are your primary concern when it comes to in defense of Christians. And so I know you're going to work in whatever way you can with whatever administration is in place. Do you have hopes that the Biden administration can get things right when it comes to international religious freedom?
Yeah, I mean, we are very confident that President Biden will certainly prioritize international religious freedom, just as the Trump administration did, frankly. Well, we understand that President Biden is a practicing Catholic, has been a strong Catholic his whole life, and we believe that his personal conviction will reflect in his foreign policy. So for that, we're very hopeful.
We've been talking to Richard Ghazal. He's a senior advisor to In Defense of Christians, and you can find that linked at sunrisemorningshow.com. We will certainly be praying for you all and, of course, for the incoming Biden administration. And, Richard, thank you so much for your thoughts this morning.
Great to be with you, Annie.
It was great to have you.